Punchboard Media, where we all bring something to the table. Pull up a chair at punchboardmedia.com.
So now we're here over at Smirk and Dagger and Smirk and Laughter.
Yep.
Over with Curt. So we're going to talking about the spill. So people with late pledges, they can get in on this because Kickstarter's already done, though.
That's correct. Yeah, it closed up last Friday. We did terrific. We got a lot of excited people. And interestingly, though, people have been here at the show like, I backed this, or I was thinking about backing this, and I just want to see it up close. And so that has really made the difference, I think. And people who are like kind of on the fence, it's pushed them over the edge for sure. Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about the game?
Sure. So the Spill is a cooperative game for 1 to 4 players. And this is a 4-way dice tower, which is kind of a unique item. And it represents the oil rig. Now, this is a prototype. The actual rig, oh, thank you, ends up, it's going to be orange. It's going to have some nice graphics on it. But importantly, every turn, you've got to face more oil spilling into the ocean. And you've got to contain the oil, remove what you can from the water, and save the sea life. So, here we go, down the chute, and it spills out into the 4 various quadrants, and then, based on the number rolled, it goes into that quadrant, into the numbered sector that shares the die face. So this 5 will come over here, this 5 comes over there, and this 2 here. And as you can see, it spreads out. It's kind of like a reverse tower defense game. And eventually, we'll find that sea life is going to be impacted. And so when you get a column of dice like this, it's a spill out. It advances our tracker, getting us dropping more and more dice every turn. And in this case, it's also contaminated the sea ray. So we are now going to race around the board, sailing the perimeter, trying to go to the emerging threats and solve the problems. This is a game where you win by not losing every single turn, right? So you've got action points to spend to kind of move in, remove oil from the game, either just temporarily or completely, and then even save the sea life. It costs 1 for you to rescue a healthy animal, but 2 to actually bring this over to the rescue board. In the end, you're going to be winning by either draining all these 64 dice from the bag and not losing, or hitting all 3 of the win conditions without losing in order to actually stop the flow of dice from the bag and win the game. So it's exciting. It's a very tense game as you're playing it. It runs about 50 minutes, and it'll remind people of the same kind of experience they might have with something like a pandemic. But the rule set's a little bit more casual in nature. It's intuitive. As you see the dice flow out on the board, the threat it's almost cinematic. You can see everything developing, and so it's very easy to jump into very quickly.
Definitely. And as you were saying yesterday when we had a little demo of the game, the win conditions change every game, so it's a little bit different.
That's true, yeah. And some are themed, like there's a shoreline defense where you choose 1 quadrant at the beginning of the game to represent the shoreline. And if you can keep 6 dice out of there, that's a win condition. But does that mean you sacrifice other things around the board in order to make sure that happens? So it gives you a lot of interesting decisions to make as a team. And because there's no perfect information in the game, the dice drop, we might have great ideas about what the most important thing to do is, but there's no perfect math, so no one's completely right. And therefore, it's a little bit less susceptible to the kind of quarterbacking that can happen in co-ops.
And then sneaking over to the other side of the booth, we have what has been a surprise hit for you guys with the Night Cage.
Yeah, I mean, we knew it was a great game, but it has really taken off, exceeding our expectations. It's now the #1 game at Barnes & Noble. It's the best seller. We just initiated our 3rd print run, and we're only a month in. So but this is a game. It's a cooperative game for 1 to 5 players, and in it, you have woken up in complete darkness. You have nothing. You have no memory of yourself. You have no idea where you are, and only a candle that holds back the darkness. And that flickering candle is enough to light the space you're in and one space away from where you currently are. And what's interesting is it's got this candlelight mechanic. So as you move, your light moves with you, and therefore you draw more tiles from the stack. And as you place them, you can orient them however you want. But interesting now, you can only light what's one space away. So the spaces that are more than that fade from view, and they actually leave the board forever. So if I was to retrace my steps, I would have to redo that draw. And I don't know what's there. It makes you feel like you're completely lost in a labyrinth. You have no idea what's around any corner. And so the idea is that you're trying to escape, and you need to find a key, and then you all need to converge on a gate. And there, all together with your keys, turning them in unison, you can escape the night cage. But there are also monsters in here. They despise the light. They strike out anytime they sense motion in their line of sight. And they can extinguish your candle and make you lights out, where if this monster hit right now, these two players would be lights out, and everything around them that was not lit by someone else would go dark. And it's just a creepy, fun game where you just don't know what to expect. You've got to work together. The closer you are, the more susceptible you are to monster attacks. The farther apart you are, the less likely you're going to actually escape towards the end, because you have to convene on that one gate to get out.
And this is perfect because spooky season is upon us now.
It is, yes. Yeah, so it's a perfect game for Halloween, yeah.
And then what I like about it is I always play music during games. This game has a dedicated soundtrack, which is fantastic.
Yeah, we composed it. We got a professional composer together, as well as the designers, and we all kind of worked together to craft the music that kind of goes along with the 50 minutes of gameplay, mirroring the kind of things that are going to happen during that stage of the game, and creating an audio environment. In the same way that we had LED candles to kind of like show whether your lights on or off. We know people are like lighting their own candles and blowing them out when they're playing if they lose their light. So it's super atmospheric, and that's what I love about the game. It's so thematic, it's so gripping, and people have just been adoring it. It's great.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I'm a backer, so I got the all-in for everything.
Yep.
But even the base game is still beautiful and fantastic, even with just like almost black and white artwork.
Yeah.
It just has this aura about it that's fantastic.
Yeah, and even the keys, we did such a nice job crafting those. Now, Chris Chan is one of the designers. He's also the illustrator of all these really cool-looking, characters and the overall look of the game. And it just leaves you with this hopeless feeling. It's minimalistic and evocative, and it's just a great style.
And I appreciate the thematicness of it, because I was reading the rules and trying to figure it out myself. And I'm like, why can't you carry two keys? I'm thinking about it. It's like, no, you got a candle in one hand,
right,
you got the key,
in the
so you have no place to put it.
Right, exactly right. And if you notice, like all the figures, the prisoners in the game, they are devoid of all individuality. Right? There's no clothing, there's no sex, you're a being, but that's about it. And you look pretty miserable. So it's an existential hell, really.
Yes.
And you are just trying to get out of that place.
Yes, but definitely, if you haven't checked out the Night Cage, definitely check this one out, because this is fantastic.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and have a great Origins.
Yeah, thank you.